My boyfriend loves to feed me like I am a baby. I don't know if it's sweet or weird. Trigger warning. Graphic content. I've been with my boyfriend for 10 months. He's the best boyfriend I've ever had. He's so sweet and attentive. He always puts me first, and it's honestly a fresh of air compared to my past relationships. He's a chef. Whenever we went out to eat, he would always love to feed me a bite of his food. I never minded and thought it was cute. When we started hanging out at each other's houses, he would always offer to cook, and then he would feed me my meal. I told him it's fine, I can feed myself. But he would always insist. He said he loves feeding beautiful women his food. Now it's kinda escalating. He wants to feed me on his lap. I told him that I'm not interested in sitting on his lap and getting fed. I'd rather just watch the show and eat my chips myself instead of a whole meal he made. When I say no, he gets a bit awkward and I start to feel bad. But it's so weird how he loves to feed me all my meals. Why? I know there's way weirder things out there and the intention is sweet. But I'm started to think it might be a kink or something. I don't discuss the intimates of my relationships with my friends. So I'm on here. Is this weird or sweet? By the way, this is a daily occurrence whenever we're together. Update. First off, thanks to everyone that replied. I read every single one. I didn't even think my question would get more than a few replies. Someone commented that I research feederism, and I did. And wow. So much things became clearer, and now in hindsight, I'm shocked I didn't see it earlier. In my defense, I'm not a kinky person, and I didn't even know this was a kink. For starters, I'm naturally thin, and it's been a big insecurity of mine because I have no curves. No boobs or butt. I'm 5'7", 7 feet. And when we first got together I was 110 pounds, and now I'm 125 pounds. When he first met my parents, he later remarked that my mom being so thin, after having 5 kids, is crazy. Looking back, he seemed disappointed. He also tells me all the time that I have the perfect body frame to be thick. He noticed my weight gain before I did, and during X he would always caress my waist, hips, and stomach area and tell me I'm looking more voluptuous. He also told me he can't wait for me to get pregnant because he knows I'll be even more beautiful and he'll feed me so much I'll never snap back. He always said it with a joking tone and a laugh, so I thought it was a dumb joke. I decided that before I say anything to him, let me look up his exes and see if any of them are fat or gained a lot of weight. He's new to the area and has only been with one girl before me, and her Instagram page is private, and her profile is a group photo, so I couldn't tell which one she is. Then I looked up her name on LinkedIn, and she has a profile. She co-owns a business with her sister whose Instagram isn't private, so I searched her up and my suspicions were confirmed. His ex used to be average weight. I would guess 140 pounds. Around 2018. She's now looks around 230 pounds. I was still in denial and thought maybe she was responsible for her weight gain, and not him, because I just couldn't believe this fetish is a thing. I invited him over last night to watch a movie. I was scared to see him because I know that if I didn't say anything then, I probably never would have the courage because I'm very non-confrontational. He came over and we watched the movie and ordered food delivery. Our food came and he heated it up in the microwave and plated it for us like he always does. He kept the 2 plates next to him, and when I tried to grab one, he held them up above his head and shook his head no with a grin. Like it's cute. I rolled my eyes and he grabbed a fork and took a piece of chicken, then held it in front of my mouth. I refused to open my mouth, so he pressed it against my lips and I pulled back and stood up to grab the plate he was holding over his head. He gave me a weird look, and I wanted to say sorry so bad. I know, why am I like this? But I didn't. I just grabbed another fork, walked over to my couch with my plate and started eating, hoping he could take the hint without me having to say anything. He came to sit next to me and started eating too. And we just watched the movie for a few minutes in peace. He then took a piece of chicken off my plate and tried to feed it to me. Again. This time I said no, and he asked what was wrong. I said nothing was wrong, and that I'm an adult and I'm perfectly capable of eating my orange chicken by myself. He said he knows I'm adult, but he just wants me to concentrate on the movie instead of worrying about feeding myself. He then tried to keep pressing it against my mouth that I wouldn't open. At that point I was fed up and I snapped at him that it's weird to constantly want to feed me, and I don't want him to anymore. I did say it in a harsh tone, but I was upset. He tensed up and didn't say anything and scooted over to the other side of the couch. Then he just stared me down as I ate. Literally wasn't even watching the movie. Even when I would look at him thinking he would look away, he would just stare at my mouth as I chewed. I was disgusted. After I finished my food, he picked up his uneaten plate and told me I could have it. I told him that I don't want it, and he said he'd rather it not go to waste, and if I'm too tired to feed myself, he'll do it. I was fed up again, and I told him that I think we should break up because we're obviously not on the same page. He asked, is this all because he wants to feed me, and I said yes. It is. He said that he's a chef and he loves food, and he also loves women, and there's nothing better than combining the two. I felt like an object. He said this can't be the real reason why I'm ending things, and I must be seeing someone else. That he treats me like a queen, and most other boyfriends wouldn't have ever cooked me a meal, let alone fed it to me too. I asked him to leave, and he wouldn't until I gave him the real reason as to why I broke up with him. I said because you have a feeding kink, and he started cackling saying I'm a sick naughty girl, and that a guy showing he loves someone as sad and disgusting as me must truly be some sort of kink because no one in their right mind would do it. Then he left and blocked me everywhere. I loved him before, but that conversation turned me off so much, and I'm honestly not sad we're over. I'm actually kind of relieved. I just don't understand why, if he truly has this kink, he wouldn't tell me and ask me to indulge in it. Why would he deny it and block me? Is it because of my dismissing behavior when he tried feeding me? Wow. Poor OP. That dude was such a sack of crap. It sounds like part of his kink was doing it either non-consensually, and or with the woman in question ignorant to his intent. I can't help but wonder if he was fully ignorant or in denial of his own kink. Did he truly think it was really kinky or something because he's a chef? Or is that just more bullshit? I am so glad she away from him, and hope she took some time to work on her ability to stand up for herself. It sounds like part of his kink was doing it either non-consensually, and or with the woman in question ignorant to his intent. This. Exactly this. It's not fun for him if his puppet gains self-awareness. It's a truly frightening level of control to force onto someone. I understand feederism. And for me it falls under a weird called kink. But someone who actually cares for their partner would never try to force a kink onto them without their knowledge. Okay. I can't figure out that acronym. It stands for your kink is not my kink. But your kink is. Okay. Thank you. This terrifying read. Glad the OP got out of that relationship as soon as possible. Okay, I do have a few kinks, and know a lot of people with kinks that seem extreme to me. And I know a feeder. But she's nothing like that. Like the first rule of every kink is to ask for consent. Every single time. Especially if the kink might endanger someone, anything that has to do with pain depending how it's inflicted, and feeding especially if it's without consent, can not only make someone sick physically but also mentally. Second story. Someone I've never met claims they own my house. Hi everyone. I wanted to get your opinion on something troubling. I'll try to be as detailed as I can be. We live in New York City, if that helps. We were just away on vacation for a week and came back home yesterday. When we returned, among the other junk mail, There was a letter from a law firm for a person whose name I'd never heard before, directed to our address. It said something along the lines of, "We've received notice that a foreclosure action has been filed against you. Please call us and we can represent you." It also listed the names of the two people involved in the lawsuit, as well as an incident number for the county clerk's office. This letter isn't an official letter, more of trying to drum up business for the law firm. We returned on Sunday, so we're unable to get in touch with the county clerk until this morning. This morning we called the county clerk's office, and they said there is a lis pendens filed on our property, not a foreclosure. We said, "How can this be possible? We've never missed a mortgage payment and have lived here for 6 years. We had a title search and checked for liens when we purchased the house. And we know the last 3 families to live here over the past 20 years. And it ain't these guys. We've never heard of either of the people involved in this lawsuit." The clerk couldn't really advise us, but gave us the name of the law firm who initiated the action. So we called them. They told us that the person in the letter, who we have never met, spoken to, or had any dealings with whatsoever, is being sued because the law firm's client was in dealings with him to buy foreclosures to flip, but now is out a lot of money due to some nefarious dealings on the part of the first guy. Apparently, this con artist was required by the law firm to provide deeds to any properties he owns, and among others he provided one for our address. How he got this, I don't know. I assume he made it in Photoshop or something. He claims he owns our house and the one across the street. I have no idea if he actually owns the one across the street or not. We are still listed as the owners of our home in public records, and we have the deed. I cannot stress enough how much we do not know the man claiming to own our house. We have never met, spoken to, or had any dealings with him whatsoever. We had never even heard his name until yesterday. Our house has never been in foreclosure, while we've owned it, and for any owners before that. We have an appointment for a consult with a lawyer on Wednesday, the one who helped us buy our house 6 years ago, coincidentally. But I have no idea what's going on or what this guy hopes to gain, how big of a deal this is, or how complicated this will be to fix. Any guidance or advice anyone can offer in advance with our meeting with our lawyer would be very helpful. Thank you all. Edit. Hey all. Thank you so much for all your guidance. Figures that the post I made about potentially getting screwed is the one that takes off. Here's some more information based on everyone's comments. The chance that this guy has a legitimate claim to our house is about 10 zeros, counting it in percentage, and then a little tiny 1. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, so I don't want to say the chance is nil. But this guy is a known con man, being sued for conning somebody else. I looked his name up online, and apparently he keeps creating new real estate companies to fleece people out of money, then escapes into the night. He's done it at least 3 times that I can find, based off dismal reviews of his real estate companies. Unfortunately, I can't speak to the people across the street because that was a flip that hasn't been sold yet. He may or may not actually own it. I have no idea. At this point, we are not personally involved in this lawsuit. Our property is just associated with it. The con man hasn't made any attempts to acquire our property. He is just lying to the law firm suing him, saying he already bought it. Why? I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that he bought no properties with the money his business partner gave him, and is now desperately trying to cover his ass with falsified documents. Why did he not think that he would be found out? That's just the way malignant narcissists work, I guess. I definitely look into our title insurance standing. I am a worrywart, so if it was offered to us, I would have taken it. I'll definitely keep you all updated as we meet with our lawyer tomorrow and things progress. Thank you all so much. Keep being awesome, Reddit. Other info. Hi. Just a few clarifications: we didn't call the county clerk number from the letter. There wasn't a phone number for them in the letter. Just an incident number for the action filed against our property. We also didn't call the law firm from the letter. We called the law firm listed in the clerk's office as having initiated the action. We haven't spoken to the law office that sent the letter. Update. Hi everyone, I can't thank you enough for all your advice on my last post. Someone I've never met claims they own my house. This is the first update. And I'm hopeful there will just be one more after this. Wrapping everything up so we can put this behind us. This is what has happened since my last post. After the initial letter from the law firm saying they can represent us, we started getting phone calls from other firms saying they'd been alerted to the list pendens and could also represent us. We were not super happy with this and asked how they got our cell number. They said they subscribe to a service that alerts them when things like liens, foreclosures, etc. are filed on a property. We hung up. We looked at all our documents from the closing and confirmed that we do indeed have homeowner's title insurance. Our deed is a bargain and sale deed. For those wondering, we also pulled all deed mortgages and other documents for our property going back to 1972 online. The last action was when we bought our house. No documents have been filed since. I signed up on ACRI to be alerted to any changes made to the property documents. Thank you for the Redditor who suggested that. I also emailed the DA for my county. And their Economic Crimes Bureau had emailed me back to ask for my cell number to follow up with me. I gave it to him. But he hasn't called yet. So maybe that will be in the next and hopefully final update. My husband met with our lawyer this morning. And I asked him to speak about all the things that you all suggested in the last post. Prior to the meeting, our lawyer had reached out to the firm who filed the list pendens and actually got a copy of the court transcript where the con man said he owns our property. According to the transcript, he claims he bought it in 2016. Our lawyer called their law firm and basically said, "Where is the deed?" They supposedly hemmed and hawed about it. So we're starting to think they don't have it. And never did. They may just be going off the words of a sleazeball who's like, "Yeah, I totally own that place. I even have a deed for it." No. You can't see it. It's possible that based off this alone, they filed against our property. In addition, it's not like this guy is saying he bought our house last week and the paperwork just hasn't been filed yet. He claims he bought it 3 years ago, and there is still no paperwork filed to attest to this fact. I was able to pull up all records for our home going back nearly 50 years. In about 15 minutes online. Our lawyer does not like the way this other firm is handling this. And basically said to them, "You have no grounds for this. Take it off." The attorney handling this case at that law firm is out of the office today and tomorrow. But we'll be calling our lawyer back on Friday. I am hopeful that it will just be a matter of take the list pendens off. And okay. I'll update again after the call between the lawyers. I told my husband the number one question is, where is the deed? When we initially spoke with them, they clearly said they had it in hand. Which is part of the reason I was freaking out. I honestly just want to be done with this. So getting back at the suing law firm for gross negligence, or whatever term fits the issue, is of no interest to me at the moment. If they give us a hard time about removing the list pendens, then we'll see. So far my takeaway from this that I would share with anyone going through something similar is that law firms are made up of people. And just like people can be good and smart and kind like all of you, they can also be dumb, shifty and lazy, and not bother to do their due diligence, even though that's like 50% of why they exist in the first place. But I'm not bitter. Thank you all so much for your help. I'll update again as things progress and hopefully conclude. Second update. So it has been a while since my previous update. And I wish I could tell you all that it's because we were involved in a super exciting court battle. No. You are out of order. But the truth is much more annoying and banal. As life tends to be. As we left it in the last post a couple months ago. Our lawyer called the law firm who submitted the action against our property and said you have no grounds for this. Take it off. The paralegal he spoke to said the lawyer handling the case was out that day but would contact our lawyer soon. They did not. 4 weeks. Despite everyone bugging them. They were very disinterested in resolving the issue. Color me shocked. In the meantime, we're getting junk mail from law firms and mortgage management companies at least every 2-3 days. Saying they can help us with this issue. We don't have the notices start to be addressed to us personally instead of this other random guy who said he owned our house. This displeases us. I start keeping a little pile of these letters next to the stairs with copies of our mortgage payments notices from the bank. Just in case. This goes on for a while. Long enough for my initial anxiety to fade into more of an situation. Until yesterday. Our lawyer finally got a response to his email from July. Where he outlines everything and attached a preponderance of evidence showing we continue to own our house. And their response is. And I quote, "We will remove the action. Period. No good afternoon. No sincerely. We will remove the action." A shard of an email after weeks of worry. So with a whimper. We got what we wanted. Obviously we will continue to monitor everything until they actually do what they said they will. But it is a load off my mind. I wish I had something more exciting to tell you. But it seems in the legal world. Exciting equal bad. Thank you all for your concern. Your advice. And your upvotes. I hope that if any of you face a similar situation, that reading this can help you figure out how to resolve it. Other info. As far as updates go. In the end nothing happened beyond the annoying letters and my agita. Our lawyer said that even if the other law firm doesn't drop it. If you wait long enough a lis pendens just expires if there's no further action on it. So we left it alone. We still do get the occasional letter from a law office directed to this guy about his property, but they're few and far between and basically spam mail. The con guy in question may or may not own the property across the street from us, which has been languishing on the market for years. Possibly because it's an asset tied up in court cases against him from a former partner. But that's unconfirmed and a whole other headache that I just can't concern myself with. So beyond being a pain in the butt, it was fine. Thankfully. As another New York City homeowner, this is my nightmare on multiple levels. One of them, in case anybody is wondering, is that in New York or New York City. Can't remember which one. Legal fees generally are not something that you can get reimbursed. So anytime some jackass decides to stir up legal trouble that requires a lawyer, it is going to cost money that cannot be recouped. Then there's the stress of not knowing where things are going to go with such a big, important purchase. I never thought I'd be able to buy a home in New York City of all places. So I definitely feel rabidly protective of mine and anybody who tries to mess with it. Reading this definitely helped give me an idea of where to go in case of trouble of this sort, which is comforting. Knowledge is always power. And now I can add shard of an email to my vocabulary, which is certainly a win for me. It's called the American rule. The inability to recover fees in most legal actions except in specific circumstances, like when a statute specifically provides for fee shifting. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.